Welcome back to Two Sides. I'm Kristy Mazurek.
And I'm Michael Caputo.
And joining us once again, John Kane, Let's Talk Native radio talk show host, filling us in on the latest issues with regard to Native issues. And there is a new one. Latest headline talking about cigarette production, cigarette sales, and lest we forget, that casino cash issue still milling out there. What's the latest going on, John?
Well, it's actually not the Seneca Nation. What's happened is, as you know, the governor has really been waging a war on the private sector business, which is primarily tobacco retail on all the native territories in the state. And they've been seizing product that even native product that was going from territory to territory, an area that really they don't have the legal foundation. It's one thing when they shut off their New York State wholesalers from supplying us product, and ironically, even the New York State wholesalers were actually involved in the distribution of native brands, but they no longer are involved in that. So now we distribute native brands ourselves. It's being trucked either through common carrier or native wholesalers are trucking themselves. And New York State is basically waging war against those guys. And it's not just at the tax department's level. Tom Maddox with the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Now you've got the Attorney General that started with cease and desist letters to native manufacturers, especially those that are outside of New York State. Right now, what they've done is they've initiated a lawsuit against Grand River Enterprises, and Grand River Enterprises manufactures Seneca brand cigarettes. So they're suing Grand River Enterprises and NWS, which is Native Wholesale Supply, which is based on the Cattaraugus territory of the Seneca Nation. And they're basically trying to sue them to stop Seneca brand cigarettes from making it to not just Seneca territories, but all native territories. And it's really up the ante in terms of what this administration is really trying to do to shut down the native tobacco retail.
Well, I mean, these cigarettes are manufactured in Canada, right? How much is this complicated by the fact that it's cross-border like that?
Well, the thing is that the product is entered legally through all of the federal laws. I mean, it's entered, through customs. The duties are paid on it. The duties are essentially tantamount to the federal excise tax that would be paid for a domestic manufacturer. So that's not really complicated. What's peculiar is the relationship between New York State and the federal agency, ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, because they play like this game where the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms says the product can be delegated as contraband, even though all the federal excise taxes are paid on it, because it doesn't have a New York State stamp on it. They're saying if it's in New York State, even if it's only going through New York State to get to our territories, you have the ATF that says, well, we can call this stuff contraband because it doesn't have a New York State stamp on it. Now, this stuff has been traveling through New York State for 20 years. It's only because of the state's crackdown on trying to stop our businesses. And so you've got the state, they're using state law to make a federal designation for contraband. Then you've got the state turning around saying, well, we're going to stop this product because they're violating federal law. So the interplay between state law and federal law is just a game.
All right, so now at the end of the day, Senator George Mazurek has kind of been the native liaison on all these issues, the casino issue and now the cigarette issue. I know that you spoke with him.
Well, he was on my show last Sunday, and first off, George Mazurek has a native territory within his district, within his Senate district, Tuscarora territory. The Tonawanda territory is on the fringe of one of his district, but he's also the chairman of the Senate Committee on Native State Relations. So George has a clear interest in state native relations. And so when George was on my show, he flat out said that the Attorney General is way out of line. I mean, his position is that the Attorney General is dead wrong on this thing. In fact, he even suggested, and people can go to my archive shows and listen to the interview itself, but he even suggested that either he or the committee that he's a part of may even enter a brief into this litigation.
That's
Interesting stuff, John. Keep us posted on that in the next days and weeks to come. Always something interesting out of Albany. We have to take a quick break. Up next, Patrick Johnson, our tax expert, giving us some tips.
Tis the
Stay
season.
right there. When we come back, it's going to be